Hi guys, welcome back again to another sewing tutorial on this channel. In today's video guys, we'll be learning how to make a bustier blouse with an asymmetric neckline. So guys, let's get started. Okay guys, welcome back. On my work table I have my pattern paper placed on fold. It's an asymmetric neckline, so of course you'll be drafting on both sides. So on my pattern paper I have my chest line, the bust, the under bust, the waist, the hip, and the full length. The full length I'm working with is 27 inches or thereabouts. And then of course we're working with a bust dart, so we should know that the back pattern will be shorter than the front. Okay, so I went ahead to mark my neck width, which is the basic neck width, 3 inches. My shoulder measurement is 7.5, which is 15 divided by 2. For the shoulder slant, I came down by 1 inch. Okay, so go ahead and draft our armhole. So came down by 9 inches, which is my round armhole divided by 2. I went ahead to ascertain that measurement to be sure that it's in line with my shoulder measurements. Then I also went ahead to draw a straight line and labeled it as my chest line. Okay, so the next thing for me to do is to mark the quarter of my bust measurement, which is your round bust divided by 4. I placed it on my chest line, went in by half an inch, and then I'm linking the 3 points together. Okay, so what I'll simply do is to draft my basic darts. So on the pattern, I'm placing my half bust span, which is your bust to bust divided by 2, on my bust line, marking it on my under bust, the waist, and then the hip. Okay, so I'll link these points together. It's not the same for everybody. For some, we have 7 divided by 2, which is 3.5. Some 8 divided by 2, we have 4. So I'm working with 4 inches. On the waist, I'm going to be marking half an inch on both sides, and then I'm going to be linking it to the bust point and down towards the hip line. Okay. Okay guys, so for the over bust contouring, what I'll simply do is to come down by 5.5 inches. From the shoulder, I came down by 5.5 inches, and then I'll go ahead and use my curvy rule to link this point down to the bust point. Okay, so this is for the over bust contouring, but before we contour the over bust, let's contour the under bust first. So for the under bust, I went towards the center front by 0.75 and towards the side front by 0.75 as well. I linked it downwards towards the lower dart and contoured it to the bust point. Okay, for the over bust, I'll be using half an inch on one side and 1.25 on the other side, and then I'll go ahead and use my curvy rule to link it down to the bust point. Okay, so it varies for different bust sizes. You can go ahead and do 2 inches, which is utilizing half an inch on one side and probably 1.5 inches, or maybe do 2.5 inches depending on how busty your client is. Okay, but for this tutorial we're working with half an inch on one side and then 1.25. So I'll go ahead and extend the lower line by 1 inch to avoid gaping. You can either close your darts and blend, or you go out by 1 inch and then you recreate a new armhole. Okay, I hope this makes sense. There are 2 ways you can achieve this: either you close your dart or you extend by 1 inch. So what I'll simply do next is to take my horizontal measurement. On the bust, I added 1.5 inches seam allowance. On the other bust, you take the quarter of your quarter of your under bust, you go ahead and replace your dart intake, and then you add your 1.5 inches seam allowance. Same with the waist as well. For the hip, I took the quarter of my hip circumference, the seam allowance, and then I added additional 2 inches for the hip extension. It's optional. You can go ahead and do 1, or you can just work with your standard, your basic hip. Okay, so I'll go ahead and link these 2 points together, and then the measurement I have on the hip, I placed it on the full length, and then I brought the measurements downwards. Okay, so guys, I'll go ahead and take my bust dart, which is 1.5 inches, which is the difference between your front waistline and then your back waistline, and then I'll use my tracing wheel, I meant to say, to transfer what I have here to the other side. So I'm done transferring it off camera, and then you can see what we have on the pattern paper, a full bodice measurement on our pattern paper. Okay guys, so the next thing I'll simply do is to draft the symmetric neckline, which is the reason why we transferred to the other side. What I'll simply do is to close one of my armhole that I'm going to be using my masking tape to close it up to enable me cut across that line. You don't cut across a dart. So from the center, which is the center front, the mid center front or the mid neckline, I'm going to be coming down by 7 inches. Okay, for my neckline I'm going to be coming down by 7 inches, and for the one side of the overbust I came down by 6 and the other side by 5. Okay, on the shoulder I'll be going out by 2.5 inches, and I'm going to be linking this point to create the neckline we have on the thumbnail. So you can go ahead and look at the thumbnail to understand the neckline. So I'm going to be curving it. This part I came down by 5 inches. I'll curve it to the 7 inches, which is on the neckline, and then link it more like create an overbust, create a curve that covers the 6 inches mark on the other side. And then from that point, I'm going to be linking it to the armhole. I don't know if this makes sense, but if it doesn't, I'll kind of refer you back to the thumbnail so that you understand the style line on the neck area. Okay, if you don't want to go this way, you can just create a straight curve linking it to the armhole. But if you actually want what we have on the thumbnail, then you can follow this process with your own measurements. So I'll open up my darts and blend the lines properly. The next thing I'll simply do is to create a style line on the hem area, which I could have done while the pattern was still on fold because it was a symmetric style line. So on the midpoint, I created a line on the center front. Then I'll go ahead and create a curve on both sides. It's a symmetrical curve that you can create or you can draft while the pattern is on fold. But since the pattern is on a spread, I can still achieve it, but you need to be very careful with the measurement. So on the side front, I went up by 2.5 inches. I'll go ahead and link it to the center front, and then I'll do the same for the other side. I'll go up by 2.5 inches and then I'll link it to the other side. So the style line on the hemline or the hem area can be established while the pattern is on fold. Okay, so this is what we have, guys, for the hem area. Okay, so the next thing I'll simply do is to close my bust dart, and to do this I'm going to be opening up the waist dart. As you can see, I'll cut it through, extending it to the bust point to enable me close my bust dart. I'm going to be using my masking tape to seal it up, or you can cut it open and close it depending on what you like. I'll do it for the other side. I'm going to be opening up the waist dart to enable me close up the bust dart on the other side. So it's a very easy tutorial, guys, if you put your mind to it. So after closing up my bust dart, I'll go ahead and label. It's so important that you label your panels so that you don't make any mistakes. That's the real essence for it. And then for the center front, you can choose to cut it open or cut it on fold. So for this tutorial, I'll be cutting it open. So I went ahead to label the panels 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're not cutting it open, that means it's going to be one panel. But since I'm cutting it open, we're having 2 panels on the center front. So I'm going to be using my scissors to cut out the excess pattern paper, and then we'll get to see what our pattern looks like after cutting out the excess. Okay guys, so we'll simply move over to the back pattern. For the back pattern, we have our waist measurement 16.5, which is removing 1.5 inches from the previous pattern. The total measurement, the full length of the blouse, is 25.5 inches. Remember that we mentioned earlier that the back pattern will be shorter than the front pattern because of the bust darts. Okay, so I'll go ahead and mark my shoulder measurement, which is 7.5. I'll link into the basic neckline, neck width of 3 inches. I'll also come down by 9 inches, which is my round armhole divided by 2. I'll go ahead and establish my chest line. Okay, so what I'll simply do is to eliminate the zipper bulge on the zipper area. So I'll go in by 1/2 inch. I'll link it up to the neckline and down to the hemline, as you can see me doing. Okay, so I'll simply go ahead and mark the midpoint of my armhole and then the quarter of my bust circumference, and then I'm going to be linking these 2 points, as you can see, to establish my back armhole. For the basic dart at the back, I'm going to be marking my half bust span, which is 8 divided by 2. I'm going to be marking half an inch on both sides to create our basic darts for the back. Okay, I'll also do the princess armhole at the back. I'll also be coming down by 5.5 inches, just like I did for the front. I'll be coming down. This is not compulsory, but I want to establish the armhole at the back. So I will just go ahead and link the 2 points. As you can see, we're not contouring at the back pattern. We'll just create that style line, the princess style line, cut it through, and then close the panel. Okay, so I'll go ahead and place my horizontal measurement, which is the quarter of my bust plus my seam allowance 1.5 inches. I'll do the same for the waist and then the hem. So right here I was trying to create that curve. I was using my front pattern to ensure that it is symmetrical for the front and the back. So I went ahead to create the curve for the back panel. The back panel is so easy to establish, so I'll use my tracing wheel to transfer it to enable us to draft the neckline for the back. Okay, so right here, I'm done transferring the pattern to the other side, and this is what we have. So I'll go ahead and create the asymmetric neckline for the back. For the neckline, I'll be coming down by 6 inches. For the front pattern, I did 7 inches. For the back, I'm working with 6 inches. So you go ahead and create yours. You can do 7, 8, depending on how modest or how exposing you want your back to look. So for me, I came down by 6 inches, which is modest enough. Then I'll go ahead and create a straight line, okay, so that zipper area will just be straight. So you can choose to place it on the other side, but because the front panel, the mono strap was on this side, it's not going to be the same for the back. Okay, so what you simply need to do is to take your front panel, the mono strap on the front, and then place it right sides facing each other for the back. This is very important so that you don't get your pattern all messed up. So I'm going to place it right sides facing each other, and then I'm going to mark the exact shoulder measurement. Okay, if you go ahead and cut on the other side, you might end up not getting it right. So cut on the opposite sides. To achieve this, just take the front panel and place on the back panel, right sides facing each other. So I'll go ahead and create just a smooth line. I'm not doing what I did for the front panel, which is marking 5 and 6 on. I will just go ahead and create a simple simple curvy line, linking it to the armhole on the other side. Remember that for the back, I came down by 6. I used the front panel, which is 2.5 inches, same with the front, and then I just created a curvy line, linking it to the armhole, utilizing the 6 inches neckline I established. Okay, so this is the asymmetric neckline for the back. I'll go ahead and label my panel, which is very important, like I mentioned, for the front panel, and then I'll go ahead and use my scissors to cut out the excess pattern paper. So the back panel is very easy to establish, and ensure that when you're cutting out, you also eliminate your zipper bulge. So I'm going to be cutting it, and then I'm going to be showing you guys how it's been done. So guys, if you have watched to this point, please do not forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and if you have already subscribed to my channel, thank you so much. I really appreciate. Thank you for engaging. Thank you for supporting the growth of this channel. Do not forget to turn on your notification bell so that you get notified whenever I upload a new video. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for engaging with me. I appreciate you guys beyond words. So guys, I'll see you in my next tutorial. Thank you so much.